Hey everyone, we are live today at the Pace Studios in New York City with Rebecca Stern and with Justin Levy. Rebecca, Justin, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, totally. So
you.
the project is well groomed. There is a documentary out in the world which premieres on HBO tomorrow. So huge congratulations to you on that.
Thanks.
I got a chance to watch it last night, and it is absolutely fascinating. I had no idea that the world of creative dog grooming existed until a couple of weeks ago when we started talking about setting this up. Can you give us some background on you, your background, and specifically how you even found out about this ultra specific world that it existed, and then why did you decide that you wanted to spend a significant chunk of your life telling this story?
Yeah, documentaries take so long to make. So in total, I spent maybe 5 years working on this film, which was great because it was 5 years of like petting a lot of dogs and pretending like I was working. So like the cinematographers would be running around getting like the perfect frame, and I'd be sitting as close to a corner as possible, like with a dog in my lap, just petting it. But that's like, honestly, like part of like the story of how I got here as well. I'm just a huge pet lover. So I came into this just like wanting to do something about animals, wanting to spend more time with dogs, and wanting to make some like pair my love of documentaries with my love of dogs and to see if there was a story there. I grew up in Sacramento. I grew up
in
on
San Francisco, so we're right down I-80 from each other.
Dope, yeah. And I grew up on like a levee road, which people from San Francisco like to make fun of Sacramento about. But we would like catch kittens and like feral kittens that would be on the levee, and like we had several dogs growing up, and it was just like always a menagerie. So then when I moved, when I left for college, also in the Bay, and then moved to New York, I didn't have any pets, and it was kind of just a hole in the life, you know.
Yeah, there's not so many ditches and drainage ditches around in New York City where
No.
you can just pick up feral. I mean, there's free cats everywhere, no matter where you go.
But I also wasn't in a position in my life where a free cat would have been like a good decision to make. I had like moved to New York, and I was living in some kind of like box apartment in Bushwick that didn't have any closets, and it wouldn't have been a good space. But so I was like just really looking for a way to pet more animals. And I had gotten a job in documentary filmmaking and on a really, really, really intense project. And I was also looking for a way to like balance that. So I started researching, and then I came across creative dog grooming, like just an image online, and was just instantly hooked because you see it and you're just like, what is this? Why is this? Who is doing this? There are just like hundreds of questions immediately. And that's what you look for when you're trying to make a documentary film.
Nice. Well, so I think this is probably a perfect time to show people what we're talking about. Because these dogs look, it is nothing that I would ever choose to do to my dog. But there is so much care and effort and love that goes into it. And just such a level of skill and technical precision that goes into it. I think that we've got to show people what this looks like. Bob, can you cut over to the clip?
Thanks, Bob.
I love to compete. It's an adrenaline rush for me.
The stress of it is what makes it fun. It's like the roller coaster.
When they call that we're allowed to start, I pick up my scissors and focus on moving around the dog and working like a little bit all around till I've whittled it down to where I love it.
I have a game plan.
All right, so the internet just saw what I just watched the documentary last night, and it is mind blowing that this world exists. But I mean, these dogs are.
They're more than you imagined.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
I don't have the vocabulary to describe it. Thank you, the internet and images for
connecting us all.
my lack of vocabulary. Can I ask you this exact same question? So, Justin, how did the relationship start between the two of you, and what equally drew you into wanting to be involved in this project and produce it?
So Rebecca and I met at a filmmakers lab that IFP, the Independent Filmmakers Project, runs, and we were both there with different films that we were working on. She was making a short documentary about creative dog grooming at the time, and I had recently seen pictures of creative dog grooming online and was like captivated immediately. I couldn't believe I'd never seen it before. Like, how could something like this exist? And we all don't already know about it. I was really intrigued. So I was so excited to find somebody making a film just by chance. And we kept in touch. And, I think I kept bugging her, like, have you finished that film yet? I can't wait to see it. Make sure you let me know when it's done. And long story short, she made the short film. We kept talking and decided to work together on making a bigger feature film about creative grooming. So the short film is also called Well Groomed. That's where it all began. Rebecca spent about 2 years doing that, and then I got involved to turn it into a feature.
Yeah. And pro tip for any filmmakers watching is don't name your short film the same thing as you name the feature, because it's incredibly confusing.
Not SEO friendly in any way.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And then also, like, the short film will just like randomly pop up in places where I'm like, that was definitely supposed to be the feature.
So you spent a good amount of time in this world and developed relationships with the people whose lives revolve around this particular pastime. Can you talk a little bit about what these people tend to be like? Did you see any personality traits that they had in common that made it clear that they belonged in this world? Or is there like a vast difference between these people, or what are they like? What are the people like that are involved in creative dog grooming?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's like anything like incredibly specific, but like their passion and their love of animals definitely connects them, and they're all very opinionated and they're all very artistic. So I think that the biggest thing that kind of like makes it clear that they're going to be into this is that they like really want to express themselves. And it's it's any artist, right? So like any artist who's going to get like super into any given form or medium is going to be really eager to express themselves and also very opinionated about the craft. And then they're all professional dog groomers too. So like this is how they spend their days. This is how they spend their nights. This is how they spend their weekends, is just like spending time with animals and learning how to groom dogs and do it better and better and better. So most of them, so Adrian Pope, Angela Comfy, and Kat Opson are all award-winning dog groomers. And then Nicole Beckman, who's also in the film, we kind of catch her like right as she's entering into the creative dog grooming
She's
space.
she's a New Yorker, yeah.
Yeah, and she like opens up her first shop during the film, which was just like very sweet and very poignant. They all also own their own shops, so they're all small business owners. So this is just like literally what they've dedicated their entire lives to, is like taking care of pets. And then to like add on to that, they just want to be able to like show off that they can draw and they can paint and that they can sculpt and they can do all the things that are involved with creative grooming. So that's why they enter into these competitions.
Nice. And so, speaking of the competition, I mean, the Super Bowl of creative dog grooming, it happens in Hershey, Pennsylvania,
Which is my favorite because dogs can't eat chocolate, and so then it's like this entire convention of dog people and all of their standard like award-winning AKC certified poodles like prancing around all this chocolate, and it's just hilarious. We like tried to get that joke into the film and didn't quite manage to.
And I had not thought about that at all, but it's so that competition kind of provides like a natural framework to the documentary. It's that the entire world centers around this one competition every year, but there's a lot of story that happens outside of that specific competition. Can you talk about what it was like crafting that story and making sure that even outside of that context there was an interesting story to be told?
Yeah, and you can touch on this too, but we really wanted the story to be told from the women. The dogs are amazing and totally technicolor and interesting to watch, but they don't talk that often. So it's like we needed something to pull people
Gucci
in.
did. Gucci wouldn't stop.
Gucci
talked
does
quite
talk
a
lot. Gucci is a star, but we spent a lot of time at home with them, and I really wanted to get deep into their art practice and how to like kind of tell a story through that. And each of the women kind of come at it from a different point within their career. So in the edit, we ended up focusing pretty heavily on what they were trying to express, and then also the challenges that people in these different spots might face. So like Adrian really, really wants to win this competition, and she's kind of dedicating everything that she can to it. Nicole, as we just discussed, is like super new, so she doesn't entirely know exactly how to do all of the things that she's seeing her heroes do. Like, how do you figure that out? And what are the struggles that come in with like starting something new as well? So the film ends up focusing pretty heavily on that too, so that people care about the competitions at all.
And well, so speaking about the struggles and challenges of starting something new, that's the exact position that you're in right now. So this is your first, this is the first movie you've directed. So huge congratulations
Thank
to you
you.
that the first thing you did is now premiering on HBO tomorrow. That's got to feel great. But
It's
can you
pretty
talk
awesome.
about what it's been like figuring out how this is done for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, like my producers Justin and then Matt Mills, who isn't here, have been like a huge support in doing that. You know, I think that like we were talking backstage, but about how like support systems are super necessary to be able to do anything like new or like big within, especially within art. And so like you guys just ended up being that, and I could kind of like play around and pet all the dogs and kind of figure out what the story was, while knowing that like there were people around that really cared and were also going to be like full advocates for the film. So that was just a really like a great place to be, and then to have HBO pick it up is like completely crazy. I always, you go into every film with a little bit of amnesia, like you're like, this film is going to be the biggest thing to like hit since sliced bread, no matter what happened with like the last film or the film before that. And so like going into Well Groomed that way, but then it turns out like that actually happens. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, and we were talking also backstage a little bit about the soundtrack to this thing and the importance that the music plays. There's an original score by Dan Deacon. How did that relationship start, and how did it become clear to you guys that he was the right person to help to tell the story?
Yeah, Justin. You go.
So when we got to the point of making the film that we started thinking about music, we looked at different film composers, and we knew we wanted to do an original score. We knew that sound was going to be a big part of the film, and I thought about some people who I knew. I know Dan Deacon, who became the composer of the film, because I used to live in Baltimore, where he lives, and we were friendly from there, and his music seemed like exactly the right fit. Like the whole like world of his music is so colorful, exactly like the film is, and it's really seems like there's just like a lot in common there. So I reached out to him, and I showed him some clips and stuff from the film, and he was completely on board with it right away. I think it was really just like a perfect fit for both of us. So we had a really great collaborative process with him that lasted many months. We spent a lot of time working on the music, and are hoping to release it as a soundtrack as well too. So Dan's got a new album coming out in January, I believe, and
well, dude, send him by here. We'll do. What we do here most of the time is 3-song sessions by artists. So
I will definitely tell him to
send
come
him
here.
our way when it's that time.
You guys have an awesome studio here.
Maybe he can do a little bit of the score too. We ended up going. So one of the things in the film is that there's no like kind of like cutesy music around the dogs. So like, I watched
No xylophone at all. That would have been irritating if there was.
yeah, and then like we didn't want to not take what the artwork seriously as well in the film. Like it was very important that the film meets the women exactly where they are and with empathy. And so then the music is like a huge part of that. And I've been watching a lot of different things about dogs, and the music is often like super cutesy, or like they're walking and you hear like do-do-do-do. And I was like, damn, we can't do that at all. And he was like,
burn your ukulele, throw your xylophone down the stairs, and then we can get started.
He was like, don't worry, I'm completely already there. So I don't even know the instruments he ended up pulling together. It was like,
I think vibraphone is one of them, but there's not xylophone or ukulele. There's guitar. There's
some piano.
Yeah, trying to remember now. We had an ensemble of 6 people.
Yeah.
All the music was recorded with live musicians over a couple of days in the studio, and then Dan cut up those recordings and worked with them to create all of the sounds.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, this has been a pleasure speaking with you. Is there anything that you need people to know about the documentary before we sign off and probably watch more videos of creative dog grooming
Yeah,
offline
I mean, everyone should
immediately?
just find as many videos of creative dog grooming as possible. No, it's on HBO tomorrow at 9 p.m. Everyone should watch it.
I would just say if people do like Gucci, get in touch with us. You can reach us through our website, and we're already thinking about a sequel focusing on Gucci. It could be called Gucci Rides Loose. He's my favorite too, so we hope you enjoy.
We don't pick favorite dogs. It's like picking favorite children.
He's one of my favorites.
Nice. Well, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Justin, so much for joining us today. This has been great. And thank you, the internet, for watching it. Check out Creative Dog Grooming. Check out their website, which is
wellgroomedfilm.com.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And wellgroomedfilm.com. It premieres tomorrow on HBO. So congratulations to everybody. And thank you, the internet, for watching.
Thanks, internet.
Thank you.